And we're back in the Colosseum gym. This is Milos with Marcelo Carvalho, my training partner and national level competitor. We're going to be focusing on abdominal training for this segment of the Fit Show. Abdominals are pretty much the muscle that everybody wants. And somehow it's always recognized for somebody that has a great abs as a person in shape. And usually people that are outside of bodybuilding, when they see the good abs, they would say, oh, this guy is ripped by just having developed abs. Speaking of that, I'm going to show you pretty much I'm out of shape, but a lot of people would see the abs and they would say, oh, he's in shape. Why? Because abs are pretty much deep developed, so it creates illusion of a definition when there is no definition really. I'm not in a shape to compete it. Marcelo just competed, has exceptional abs, and we're going to perform several different exercises that really create that chiseled look. And the secret is in creating a deep separation between abdominals. So this is how you can create that visible abs, by making them deep. So even if you have a somewhat higher percentage of body fat, they're going to still be visible, which is the case with me right now. So we're going to start with the most common exercise for abs. Abdominal training is usually started with the sit-ups and crunches. So Marcelo is going to perform a few sit-ups first. As you can see here also, beside abdominals, it's a majorly involved rectus femoris. It's a quadricep muscle, and also hip flexors, which are psoas and iliacus right here. Abdominals in this particular exercise are completely involved upper and lower portion, but mainly upper portion of abs. And if he would go a little bit to the side, left and right, he would include intercostals, muscles of the side of the trunk, which is serratus interior and exterior. And we can also do the crunch version, where you don't do the full sit-up, but just partial, which is pretty much so-called crunch. It can be done at this higher position, or all the way on the bottom, when you would just crunch this much. Okay, and if you can focus on the abs, what is very important is right here. We're creating that gap much deeper. Rectus abdominis right here is a muscle that goes from sternum all the way down to the pubic bone. It is really few of those packs, what we call it six packs, they can be clearly visible if you create this gap between them very deep. So do a few crunches. As you can see, what happens is he stretches and then contracts, creating that gap, much deeper. So using sit-ups and crunches, we are somewhat limited with a bench or with the floor if we do this on the floor. Abs could be stretched a little bit greater by going further, like about 15 degrees further, and that can be accomplished on a Swiss ball, for example. But this is very common. It's a basic exercise, very good to create that gap between the abdominals, which creates illusion of a defined muscle when it's not really necessarily defined. It's so-called deep abs. That's what you want to accomplish. So sit-ups and crunches, bread and butter of abdominal training. I say it's very common. However, that's not my favorite exercise. I'm going to show you my favorites. They would be hanging leg raises and cable crunches. But I would go in a particular order that everybody is asking for. This is most common abdominal exercise, so that's why I did it first. That would be abdominal crunch and a sit-ups. Let's move on to the next exercise. And we are back at the Fit Show abdominal training segment. I'm here with Marcelo Carvalho doing, again, sit-ups and crunches. However, this time we're not going to use a decline bench. We're going to just use gym floor. So this is the exercise that can be done in a house, anywhere. You don't really need a gym to do sit-ups and crunches. We're going to use the version that you use a bench or anything that you can raise your feet. And let's go with the sit-ups first. Using this kind of sit-ups set up, you can see strong contraction in the upper ab region. And again, this is a very visible linea alba that Marcelo has very well developed. You can clearly see deep separation. However, this is just one part. What we wanted is separation horizontally as well, which creates illusion of those deep chiseled abs. Do a few more reps. So sit-ups are usually for upper abs. If you go left elbow, right knee, right elbow, left knee, we're now doing a side of the torso, intercostals, serratus interior, external serratus as well. It's a side muscles that are very important to create the illusion of a really chiseled, defined look on the competitions. And let's do a bit of crunches. This is the last version, simple crunch that usually people don't believe it's some major exercise, but even that short movement can create a very strong contraction. And I promise you, if you haven't been doing crunches, this surprising, easy move can get you within 15 to 20 repetitions. It's actually very hard to do. Okay, thank you. So that was just another version of doing a sit-ups and crunches, which predominantly does upper abdominals. That would be it for this segment of abdominal training on the Fit Show. And we're continuing with the ab training. We are moving on to the leg raises. There are several different ways of doing leg raises, and we're going to start with a simple bench leg raise. Marcel is going to perform this in two different ways, just straight up. This is one way of doing leg raises, which works complete abdominal wall, but mostly lower. You know, always sit-ups and crunches do upper, and leg lifts do the lower abs. As you can also see, it's tremendously involving serratus intercostals, which Marcelo has a really world-class serratus. This exercise includes a lot of hip flexors, psoas and iliacus right here, and also rectus femoris, one part of the quadriceps muscle. You know, keep doing it. You know, a few more. Also, you can do with the bent knees and go up to the torso. So this is a very common exercise. I would say that many bodybuilders do this. However, I like the best version when we hang. So we are using a horizontal bar to do the hanging leg raises. And I believe it's the most productive because we are changing the angles. Here we are pretty much at the horizontal angle. And I do believe when we go into the complete vertical, we're going to have the greatest stimulation of abdominal wall. So this would be leg raises on a bench. Let's move on to the next exercise for abdominal training. We're back in the ab training segment for a Fit Show. This is my very favorite exercise for abdominals. It's hanging leg raises. Marcel is going to perform a few different ways of doing this hanging leg raises, but for me, this is the exercise. This is absolutely the best. Okay, let's go. You can do it with a straight, yeah, just perform anything. Okay, this is a knee raise, and as you can see, it creates deep separation as gravity pulls his legs down, and creates this gap between abs so much deeper. Let's do it with the straight legs. Now we're going to perform this hanging leg raises, you know, straight, just keep going. And also you can see very visibly, clearly, deep separation between abs, and that's the point of doing this exercise. As I said before, you can do the hanging leg raises on the floor, on an inclined bench with various angles, but once you come to the extreme angle, vertical, you know, this is when this is the most effective. You can do it to the side, left and right, and this stimulates the side of the torso. It's an intercostal serratus type exercise, which again is a particular muscle group for Marcelo that he has greatly developed. So that would be hanging leg raises. You can rest a little bit. The point that I like to emphasize here again is, as he is hanging, this is what happens. abdominal stretch, and this gap between, is deeper and deeper. As you can see, with each and every rep, this is what happens. Abdominal wall stretches, rectus abdominis is going like this, and it's stretched due to the gravity. Legs are pulling him down, and this is what happens every time. I'm going to ask him to do one more set of this. So as he is doing this 15 repetitions, for example, I can demonstrate again exactly what happens here. This is also a hip flexor exercise. Hip flexors are greatly involved, and a lot of people complain that their legs give out first before the abdominals. It's not really legs. It is psoas and iliacus muscle here, and also rectus femoris, part of the quadriceps. Let's do the 10 repetitions. Just keep going. This is perfect. Exactly what I want to accomplish. You can see how much this gap becomes deeper with each and every rep. And that's the point. Okay, that's good. And Marcel can do one pose for us, abdominal pose, to see really he has a world-class abs. Do the pose. Okay. Even standing relax. This is tremendous abdominals, and that's why he is so successful in the competitions this year. Okay, do the ab pose. Okay. Punch it down. There you go. Very visible, deep separation. Thank you. So this is really my very, very favorite exercise. I've been talking about hanging leg raises for many years. The reason why is we stretch abdominals more than in any other exercise. This is why is my favorite. And we're going to move on to my second favorite, which would be high pulley cable crunches. So let's go and do that. We're moving on to the next exercise. It's high pulley cable crunch. It's my second favorite exercise for abdominals. First being hanging leg raises. This is my second favorite. Using different grips, we can use this, rope, or anything else. It's really personal preference. The point here is using a high pulley weight stack that can overstretch the abdominals. So Marcelo is performing this perfectly by allowing the weight, heavy weight, pulling him up, which completely stretches abdominal wall, intercostals, and serratus. Arnold Schwarzenegger liked to do this exercise, back in the days, and you could see that he had a very well-developed intercostals and serratus, and the pumping iron. You can clearly see he was performing this as a normal routine of his abdominal training. You can go left and right. By doing a left elbow, right knee, right elbow, left knee, he is now including a lot of intercostals, serratus, interior and exterior, to the side of the torso. In this particular exercise, rectus femoris, quadriceps, and hip flexors, psoas, and iliacus are not involved, so that's the advantage. It's really isolating only abdominal wall. Thank you. And this is pretty much simulation of an abdominal pose that we do on a bodybuilding stage during a competition. So if you can do the couple of poses for us. It's abdominal and thigh shut that we do as a mandatory pose, crunching down. You can see this is pretty much the same movement that he just performed using a high pulley cable crunches. So let's move on to the next exercise for abs. This was high pulley cable crunch, one of the great exercises for abs. We're moving on to the last exercise for abdominals. It's a twist, standing and seated twist. Marcel is going to perform this exercise. I'm going to move away. It's an exercise that hits really aside, intercostals and serratus. It's a very popular exercise, especially among the girls, but I like to do it with all of my competitors because it really helps the waistline. And as you can see, clearly it hits intercostals and serratus. Please seated. Okay, pretty much the goal here is to just twist as hard as you can, maintaining a constant tension in abdominals. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is pretty much abdominal training. We did a series of exercises for abs, hitting everything from upper, middle, lower abs, intercostal serratus, hip flexors. So that's complete abdominal training program. As I said, very important is to stretch abs, create that deep gaps in between, which is going to create illusion of a tremendously developed, thick abdominals, when in reality, we don't want to really build that abdominal wall. This is the only muscle that we don't really want to, specifically hit the fast twitch muscle fibers to make us grow, because the last thing that we need is to grow our midsection and waistline. So abdominals are trained a little differently. As I showed, I would choose the stretching exercises that would really create the gap between the rectus abdominis as deep as possible. So that will be it for abdominal training on this episode of The Fit Show. See you next time. And this is it for this segment of a Fit Show abdominal training that also concludes our first DVD, Secrets of the Pros, training with Milos Sarcev and a Fit Show crew. Thank you very much for watching. For Marcelo Carvalho, my training partner, and the Fit Show crew, this is Milos Sarcev. See you next time.